Just about 8 minutes after 10 o'clock, I apologize to our guest who's waiting in the wings on the phone, and to everybody. We went along with the last segment, but we had fun with it, right?
Oh yeah, it was fun.
I wanted to make sure I got that question answered so that we could give away that wonderful prize that we had. I didn't want it to be left sitting here. So.
Oh yeah, great prize.
By the way, Valentine's Day is coming up, right?
Yep.
Hey, a few years ago, Robin, and I know you know this. A few years ago, I did something that I didn't really think was very important to me, but it turns out that I look back at that, wow, I did that, and if I could do that, maybe I can do this. And what I'm talking about was I quit smoking cigars. It was a decision I made, right, to better my life.
Yep.
And I did it. I remember the thought process behind it. I remember thinking, okay, I talk for a living.
Yes.
I could lose everything if I keep up this stupid habit. Why is it so hard to give up? And I did make that decision. And how many times have you made a decision that you had a hard time with, I guess, but once you made it, you were so happy that you did, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about optimal living, and there's a book here that does a really great job of kind of helping us with those decisions. It's called Optimal Living 360, Smart Decision Making for a Balanced Life. Sanjay Jain is the author. Dr. Sanjay Jain, I should say. He is a trained physician certified in diagnostic radiology, integrative medicine, and healthcare quality and management. He's a domestic and international speaker, and he's on the phone. And we made him wait long enough. Let's not make him wait any longer. Good morning, Dr. Sanjay Jain. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you guys doing this morning?
Pretty good. Where are you right now?
I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. So it's a lot colder up here than it is down there, but I understand you guys will be hit pretty hard pretty soon, I think, right?
I don't know if we're going to get it. I think, hard would be like 46 degrees. That's
That's cold.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
and so the reason I live here is because my parents, when I was 17, made a decision to move here. So they tried to optimize their living, right?
Great decision, it seems. You get to enjoy a lot of the good weather.
Yeah. So tell me about something that connects a little bit to. I'm not trying to make it political, but the healthcare laws. People say they're good. People say they're bad. Just giving it the benefit of the doubt without trying to get into any argument about it. If more people have health insurance, whether they were forced to or not, that seems like a decision that would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Well, it depends on who you ask. It's interesting because you can ask the person who doesn't have insurance, and of course it's a great decision. If you talk to people who are paying for it, it might not be a good decision.
I got you. Okay.
So it's a perspective on the decision. So it's really a lot of matter of perspective, and overall, a healthy society is the best way to go, just because. The more people don't take care of themselves, then it becomes a financial burden. People let disease drag on. So what happens is that medical care costs go up, and you got to nip it at the bud. Just like you said, you nipped your smoking habit early, nipped it at the bud before it's too late. And so a lot of people need to make decisions to kind of nip things at the bud in their life.
Yeah. I'm less than a year away from being 60. So, when I quit, it wasn't exactly early. But knock on granted here, nothing really bad happened to me as a result of those cigars, and I'm really good. Boy, you're a young guy. I'm looking at your picture. You're a very young guy.
Yeah, thank you very much, but I'm probably older than I look.
So the book references ROI quite a bit. What is ROI?
Well, I also have an MBA, and so one thing ROI stands for in the business world is a return on investment. And the financial people look at return on your investment and say, okay, what I invest in, I want to get more out. So obviously, those financial people look at investing money in, they want to get money out.
Right.
But I'm taking that same concept and putting it to life. So what you put in, more out. So what are the things you're going to put into life? Well, we already talked about money. Well, there's other currencies, quote unquote, that people invest. Time.
Yeah.
So if you invest time into something, you want to get something back for that time that you invested. You want to invest physical energy. You want to get more back from investing your physical energy or mental energy. So there's a lot of energies that you invest, social energy, to get better return on those relationships. That's kind of how I frame return on investment in this book. is we look at the money aspect, but you have to look at other aspects, such as time as currency and physical energy and those kind of things.
And that's extremely good advice. My folks knew a couple, and that couple worked all their life. They didn't go out and do anything on the weekends or party or anything. They just worked and worked and worked. They had a huge house. They had cars. They had whatever it was that they needed, but they didn't go out and socialize because working was most important to them. Then by the time they retired, they both got sick and they weren't able to go and do things.
Well, no, that's true. So you can spend your whole life earning money, and then toward the end, who's there to come visit you?
Mm-hmm.
You never had a social life. You never interacted with anybody. And then when you're maybe sick in your bed or in the ICU, the phone doesn't ring.
There you go. Oh wow, that's very profound. Mm-hmm. That's very profound, and it's very profound for the couple who says, you know what, we don't want to have any children. That's so much work.
Yeah.
Or that's at least 18 years of your time that you're pretty much bogged down. But as you pointed out, the investment of raising children is beneficial. Well, right away, I think, as a father, I think that was a great decision that God made for me, I think. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but
You wanted children.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
And I have them, and you do too.
So I love this thinking. I love what you're writing about here. Do you see how do I ask this one? Are we all different though in this? Was one person's investment another person's liability?
That in some ways it can ring true. I mean, let's look at it this way. Look at the stock market. Someone's going to sell low. Someone's going to buy high.
Yeah.
So the person, so someone's going to get the raw end of the deal. But it's not as bad as it is with other because it's more of an equal relationship. So if you give, you're going to receive. Like if you invest in the relationship, invest time, someone's going to benefit, but someone's going to reciprocate back. And so if they don't, well, that doesn't really work out. But ultimately, you'll find your way that what you give, you'll end up receiving. And so you give yourself 30 minutes in the gym. Well, you've given up time, you've given up physical energy. What are you going to get back? You're going to get back good health. That's your return on your investment of the energy that your good health.
And let's take it in the health direction because you are a doctor after all. And Robin and I are radio hosts. And here's something that we experience on a regular basis. It is speaking to an author, sometimes a doctor or a specialist, somebody who has written a book about something, and they're very adamant about their opinion about a health-related topic, let's say. And then the next day, or it could be even the next part of the morning, we have another author who disagrees 100%. And so as lay people who do a radio show, who are responsible for getting information out to a listening audience, we find ourselves basically saying, okay, here's an expert that's going to tell you that eggs are good for you.
Yeah.
Here's an expert that tells you don't ever eat another egg. And we find ourselves saying, okay, well, if now taking your approach, Dr. Jain, if we say, well, what is the investment we want to do? Is the investment to avoid eggs or the investment to eat eggs? And that might not be, replace the word eggs with vitamin C, probiotics, exercise, as you say, milk. And you could replace that word egg with anything. So how do we know what we should invest in?
Here's the thing. Here's the whole concept. The concept is empower yourself with knowledge, and you are the ultimate CEO. You're the one who's going to decide for yourself. Here's why. Because a lot of these experts don't know the other side of your life. A doctor might prescribe you medication. You go to the pharmacy. You get a $400 bill.
Right.
What? Okay, and that's one example. So another example, like this is from my life. A little bit of a sidetrack, but a real estate advisor and expert say, "Hey, buy this property; it's going to be a great investment." Yeah, but it's a great investment. Then you tell me how stressful it is, how mentally taxing it would be. A lot of these experts give one-dimensional advice, but don't look at the 360, how it affects other aspects of your life. I mean, you go to church and they'll ask for a church donation. Do they ever ask you how much money you make and whether you can afford it? Do they ever ask for a financial plan? You might not be able to afford to put this money in the basket because you're not earning too much. You never ask that.
Right.
And there are sometimes people that just kind of sit around and say, "Oh, woe is me! Oh, woe is me!" You see other people immigrating from other countries into the United States, as it's always been for all of these years, and they are very, very successful. And then you have people that are born here, and they just take living here for granted. And then when they see somebody else doing better than they are, then they start complaining.
Well, that's the thing. We kind of society, we kind of get very used to what we have, and okay, well, I have the iPad, but no, I got to get the iPad 4, the iPad 5.
Right.
They're in a third world country. They don't even know what an iPad is, but they're happier. And they're happier because they don't know what it is, and they're happy in their own little life. And so we kind of get caught up in that, and all these technologies, all these little gadgets, and a lot of these little things in life. The food that we take for granted for. So you're right. You are a little bit spoiled. We're very fortunate, though. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We live in this great country. We're very fortunate, and so we shouldn't take that for granted.
Do you know, I remember when I was much younger, I had a friend who had a notebook, and in that notebook, he would write down the top 40 or top 20 songs of the day every week. So he would do this every week diligently. He would listen to the radio show that gave this information, write them all down, and he had, when I say volumes, I don't know, maybe a dozen notebooks literally filled with these charts. And so he's investing his time becoming an expert on these charts. And now looking back on that, I mean, I did not the same thing, but I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes we invest our time in things that don't benefit us at all. It's like, how do you use that? I mean, it's like knowing a lot of trivia. It's like, okay, trivia, what is it?
I just spoke to someone else about the time management issue, and so in a way, you're right. I'll throw out a question for you guys in the listening audience. Does anybody remember what they surfed on Sunday?
What they served?
Yeah, they don't. What the news was. What was on the internet on Sunday or even yesterday? They probably surfed for 2 hours, but they can't remember what they surfed.
Oh, surfed. Okay. Okay.
So what I'm saying is that a lot of people spend time in a lot of these things, and they don't get their return.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I know what I spent my Sunday doing. but I think, yeah, okay. So if we're investing time in the friends we have on Facebook, let's say, we are nurturing relationships in a way. But is it a good investment? Is our time that we're not spending with the people who we physically have a relationship with being sacrificed because of our time that we're dedicating to these people we may never see, except for in little pictures? Well,
unfortunately, it depends on how you use Facebook. I mean, some people use Facebook to tell everybody they went to the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really need every single detail of your life. So it's nice to connect, but I think I'll tell you the interpersonal relation or interaction. It's priceless. I mean, just to speak someone instant and have an interaction, have a cup of coffee with them, just to look them in the eye, the body language. How do you replace that? How does the internet replace that?
Right, it doesn't. Yeah.
I think you got to balance that. I think there's some good with the social media to connect with people really far away, but the guy next door or someone who's a few blocks away, go visit them. Spend some time. And there's no substitute for that.
One thing I want to mention to the listeners is that it sounds like we're talking all over the map. The book does a really good job of bringing all these things together, though. And so in order to be fair to the book, I want to say that those things everything we've said is in the book, but you talk about health, you talk about investing of money, investing of time. You've really done a great job of trying to give us your thoughts on some of these things that we are investing in. The book is called Optimal Living 360. I guess it would mean full circle, right? Full circle, 360. Smart Decision Making for a Balanced Life. Dr. Sanjay Jain is our guest, and he is the author of this book.
From a health perspective, doctor, when people are born in different stations in life, if they're just satisfied to be in their one station, does the lower income stations have higher health risks?
Well, it's really it's really about being educated and knowing where you are in terms of your health. And I really don't like to put a socioeconomic, because sometimes people who have more money, they can maybe afford a cigar,
Okay.
or maybe alcohol or something. And some people can't afford it. Some vices are a little bit more expensive. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to the low economic, I think everybody can be on the same level playing field. The most important thing is being aware how to take care of your health, get your regular health screening, because that's available to everybody, and then going to the doctor. I mean, there's people who I know who are well off who don't see the doctor, and some people who are not as well off see the doctor quite frequently. So really, that can't be an excuse, because everybody has the same tools out there. Whether and people who have insurance never use it. And people who don't have insurance would like to use it. So it's kind of like a dichotomy there.
Valentine's Day is Friday, so let's talk about intimate relationships. You cover it in your book, and you do view it as something we need to consider as an investment of our time, of our energy, of our attention, right?
Yeah. So, Valentine's coming up very soon. So, what's the value in that? You want the whole point of it. People like to look at it as a gimmick, but you know what? It really brings a way to bring that significant other together. Say, hey, you know what? I recognize you, I acknowledge you, and so that it's very important to have that acknowledgement. And to cherish or nurture that relationship.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't plant that flower, it's going to wilt, and you got to keep it watering all the time.
From a psychological aspect, why is there so much hurt in the world? What is wrong with the people that are constantly hurting children or hurting others?
Well, that's a very big question, and I think what happens is, and I really can't. There's a lot of psychology to it, but a lot of times the way they've grown up, the way they've been treated as kids, and the way their parents have treated them, and they sort of get that animosity, or the way they've been treated maybe by their peers growing up, and they sort of get brought up in maybe not the best environment, and so they have that perception of, okay, well, this is the environment I grew up in, and this is the way I treat other people. So there's a disconnect there, and so a lot of times people who have an unfortunate or maybe not as good upbringing transfer that to other people. So yeah, that's a problem.
One of the things you talk about in the book is charities, and I want to tell you something again from our perspective as radio hosts. Is we have a lot of charities, and I'm going to pick on the veterans charities specifically, the veterans of war, the military veterans. We want to support the organizations that truly do support the troops. The problem is, sometimes they have names. Sometimes these nonprofit fundraising groups have names that sound really. They name themselves in such a way that you say, yes, I want to help you, because it sounds like your name implies that you're going to do good things for the people I want good things to be done for, because those men and women that we call veterans invested their time for our government, for the sake of our government, doing what our government asked them to do, right? Whether you agree with the conflicts or not, they are answering the call that they were asked to do. And in some cases came back with missing limbs or unable to walk. Mm-hmm. Or other issues. So we want to give to those. We want to invest in them. We don't expect anything personally in return. But the thing is, you've got to be really careful. Just those names are sometimes what do you call them? Sheep and wolves.
Yes.
Wolf and sheep's clothing. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because many people with good intentions want to donate to a good cause, and some of these causes end up being scams. And whenever there's a big tragedy, American Red Cross gets involved in either like a tsunami, or some people donate, and then all of a sudden these fraudulent scams come up, and it's unfortunate, because a lot of good people who deserve the benefit of the charity, and especially the military. I mean, they're one of the most selfless group of people going out there in harm's way and really putting their lives in danger for all of us. And so, as a society, there has to be some way of honoring that. And so, the charity is one thing. One thing that I wish we can improve on is the VA system, Veterans Administration Hospital, because they're not in the best shape. So when they come back in these limbs and, missing parts, body parts, and, we got to take care of our own. They
Yeah.
put their life on the line for us, and we got to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
When you speak about the health of self in your book and to keep everything balanced, how do you personally do that? Because you are constantly helping others, but you can't neglect your inner being, your own self.
Well, you hit it right on the head. I think the most important thing is you got to take care of yourself first. You can't take care of yourself first. How are you going to take care of somebody else? And so, you got to live by example. So, if as a physician, if I'm overweight and I'm trying to tell somebody to lose weight, I lose my credibility. And so, if a financial planner who doesn't have any money says, "Oh yeah, I'll make you a lot of money," well, that's not going to make. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. You are a wise man, Doctor, and I love the fact that you've packed so much into this book. It's called Optimal Living 360. The way I would describe the book to a friend who was asking me about your book, I would say that you have taken everything we pretty much have to deal with in our lives, whether it's our health, our relationships, our faith, our religion, our money investments, our time investments, all of the above, and you've kind of, in a very no-nonsense way, given us a handbook, I guess, for how to better manage those things.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea, because when I was needing help, I when I would look at a book, out of 300 pages, I get 2 points out of it, and I was frustrated. Well, 300 pages, I only got 2 points. I need a book that's going to give me more points than that. So instead of looking for the book, I actually wrote the book.
Well, you know what I used to think? I love what you said right there, because I once in a while I'll go to like a motivational speakers event, and you sit in the audience, and the motivational speaker's up there, and you say, okay, I think I heard Tony Robbins say that. I think I heard Dr. Joy Brown say that on her show, or I heard this and that. Okay, this is all stuff I've heard before, and then they'll be, oh, wait, there's a cool thing I could use. Yeah, and so I always figure, okay, I whatever money I paid to be there, usually I justify, okay, that was a good investment because now here's something new I didn't have when I walked in, even though 98% of it might have been stuff I already had.
Yeah, and so what I try to make with this book is basically it's like 5 or 6 books in one.
Yes.
Really, I packed it in, and I figured, why not? Why do I why write 5 books when I can give people the best return on their investment with one book, right? So that's kind of what I wanted in life, and so if I wanted it, I'm sure other people would have the same need, is to go to a one-source guide. Say, hey, I need help in finance, I need help in time management, I need help in some health tips. So I hope that's what this does, is help people, and people who normally don't read like personal finance, they just only read health. Well, the chapter's there, they're going to be looking at the chapter and say, hey, what, I didn't really think about personal finance, but now that it's there, I'll read it. Hey, I learned something.
Well,
so even people don't really necessarily read a certain subject will get that information.
Yeah, and if I just may add, it's not just that you're talking about it, but you're also kind of enlightening us to thinking about these things as investments. You might not. Yeah. You might. I never. I don't have to say may. I never considered that giving up cigars was an investment. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It is. It's a good thing. And the benefits are right now, because I don't crave them anymore like I did.
Right.
7 years or so it's been. Let me give away this book, Optimal Living 360. If you would like it, call me. I'll give it to you. It'll be waiting for you here at the station. Dr. Sanjay Jain is who you will look for if you're going online to buy the book. He spells his last name Jain. And doctor, do you have a website you want to tell us about?
Sure. It's sanjayjainmd.com. And we have a blog there, and if you're looking for the book, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. And I'd love to get feedback from everybody. Anybody who gets a chance to read it and look through, share any thing that they got out of it.
Yeah, very good. And first, apologies for saying your name wrong the whole time, Sanjay. I should have asked you. And the other thing is, thank you for investing a half hour of your time with us and being confident that this was a good investment for you. I'm sure it will give.
Great investment.
Yeah. We record these as well, so not only will it be heard live right now, but also on the internet. Doctor, thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great interview. We'll take a little break and be right back.
On the next Voice of Ocala, it's Tribune Tuesday with Tom. It's your chance to go up against me, the Tribunator, to win great prizes from the Ocala Golf Club, the historic Marion Theater, and Mojo's Grill and Catering Company. Also, it's Around the Water Cooler. Buddy Barton, myself, and Tom James and the crew talk about the hot topic in sport. I'm sure Marcus Smart's name will probably come up. All that and more on the next Voice of Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live.